Thank you, Fort Smith Chamber of Commerce. What a great honor, and very, very unexpected, very much appreciated to be named the Physician of the Year for the River Valley Fort Smith Chamber of Commerce. I'm grateful to the Chamber. Appreciate all the work you do in supporting the healthcare industry here in our community. I'm also grateful for my friends and colleagues here in the healthcare industry. I want to say thank you to my friends at Baptist Fort Smith, Mercy Fort Smith, Fort Smith EMS, Southwest EMS, all the long-term care facilities, everyone here in the community who supported me for this award. Thank you. It truly is a great honor, and I'm truly humbled. I grew up here in Greenwood. This community is why I am who I am today. I had a great education here in Greenwood. I wasn't a kid who knew exactly what he wanted to be when he grew up. I didn't know that I wanted to be a physician. As I got older, people naturally ask you, what do you want to be? And I knew I wanted people to quit asking me what I wanted to be. And so I started telling them I wanted to be a physician, and that seemed to be a good answer that got people to leave me alone. But I didn't know at the time what that career path really was. There wasn't anyone in my family who was a physician. So I didn't have anyone that worked in that healthcare realm to go to and ask questions. And so at 17, the reality of going and doing a pre-med education was sitting upon me, and I wanted to try to get some exposure, and this community was good to me. I got my first job in healthcare working at St. Edward's, which is now Mercy Fort Smith, as an orderly. I spent that summer after my senior year of high school working as an orderly, and also got exposed at that time to a side of healthcare in the hospital that really was at the time off my radar, but through my career I've looked back to as a fortunate thing. I was working as an orderly there, and one of the administrators there, Marilyn Rankin, took me into work in her office. David Steck was there at that time too, and again, I was just a 17-year-old kid who was working with them, collating papers and stapling things, but it gave me insight into this idea that a hospital was not just about hands-on patient care, but that there was a lot of work that had to go on behind the scenes from a leadership standpoint to have a hospital function appropriately. And that would mean something later to me that I didn't realize at the time when I was going through it. But I'm thankful for that experience. If I hadn't been living in a community that was so willing to embrace a young person and give them an opportunity to work, I might not have pursued the career that I pursued. So grateful for my community for that opportunity. The other thing at that time in my life that I'm truly grateful for that had a big impact on me from a community standpoint is, I wanted to go to Hendrix College in Conway. Partly because it was a little different. I didn't know anybody that was going there. I knew it had a good pre-med program, but it was expensive. It was going to be hard financially for my family and myself to come up with the money to pay for that education. And so I was tasked with trying to come up with as many scholarships as I could. There was a dollar amount we needed in order for me to attend, quite honestly. And I had gotten a lot of scholarships. I've been very fortunate, but I still was coming up short. And I didn't need much more money. I needed about $500 more a semester, and that was the difference between me, pursuing an education at Hendrix or going somewhere else, which would have been fine. But for me, this was something I wanted to do, and I was active in the Girls and Boys Club in Fort Smith at that time. I had played baseball there in Fort Smith, and that was the first year that the Boys and Girls Clubs decided they were going to try to give scholarships to local students who were athletes or participants in their activities. And so I applied for that. Jerry Glidewell, who still works there at the Boys and Girls Club, encouraged me to apply for that scholarship. I was, again, would have been 17 at the time. And I remember going into my interview for that scholarship and meeting some gentlemen who were on the board for the Fort Smith Boys and Girls Club. And at the time, I didn't know who these gentlemen were. I just knew their names, Sam Seacard, Bernie Harper, James Wagner. Those are the ones that I remember meeting and interviewing with. Later, I would understand these were civic-minded people, very active in the community. But at the time, it was the concept that adult individuals would serve on a board voluntarily I didn't understand that at that age, but it was impactful to me because I went into this room and had the opportunity to visit with these gentlemen, and they asked me questions and were interested in me, and ultimately, gave me the scholarship that made the difference. It was and I'm sure to them they didn't think it was a lot of money, but for me, it truly was that final piece that fit in place to let me move forward. And Hendricks for me was a formative place. It was the place where I met my wife Jennifer. Had I not been able to piece that together, I might have never met her. And she's certainly, one of the greatest things that's happened to me in my life, and has been critical in any successes I have. As with anyone, you have to have support from your family and at home. And had those pieces from this community not fallen in place to put me in that position, I don't know that I would be who I am today. And I mean that sincerely. I have 3 wonderful children, Will, Luke, and Wesley, and have built a wonderful life here with my wife. And so I'm grateful to this community for giving me that foundation early, but also for showing me the example of how to give back to your community. I came to work at Baptist Fort Smith, which was then Sparks, in 1999. And I was young, I was 29 and fresh out of training. And even then, of course, obviously lots of mentors and teachers through my schooling and training outside of this community. But even then, I really wasn't clear to me what it meant to be a physician working in a hospital setting. And I got into a great group, very grateful for my partners in my group here. I've been working with them now, like I said, for 20 years, and I have a great group of physicians that work with me and support me, and have been, great peers to work with over the years. But fell into a leadership position at the hospital pretty early in that process, maybe 2003, 2004, something like that. And at some point in that period, I was asked to be on the board of trustees for the Sparks Hospital. And that was another critical experience for me in starting to see this concept that there's more to just your career. There's opportunity to give back to your community, because at that point I was tied up with being a physician, very interested in being a physician. And I went and sat in on this board, and this was a volunteer board. And there were a lot of leaders from our community who are still here in our community. I don't want to start naming names and miss people, because that's something you try to do in an acceptance speech like this, and you'll forget somebody. But Mr. Young, Mr. Hanna, Mr. Borum, after them, people like Tom Webb, Kyle Parker, John Taylor, David Craig, Judy Borum. I know I'm missing people. Roger Meek. These are all people. Jim Patridge, I think I mentioned. These are all people that I was meeting for the first time, and these were all business leaders in our community, very successful people who had volunteered to take time away from their busy jobs to try to help our hospital. And that struck a chord with me. That showed me through example that you can do more than just your career. You can take time away from your professional career to try to give back to the community. And I think back to my early teenage years when I was given this opportunity to work in our community. I was given this scholarship in our community by these people, and all those pieces clicked with me in a way that made me want to do more than just be a physician in our community. And so I'm grateful to many people in my life. Certainly, obviously, my mother, my father, my aunts and uncles have a very great extended family. Again, teachers, coaches. But for this award for me, I think it's important to acknowledge that we live in a community that helps each other. We live in a civic-minded community where lots of good people do lots of good things behind the scenes to make this a better place. And I'm proud of that. And I'm thankful to those individuals who, through their examples, have given me a good path to try to give back to the people around us. And so I am who I am today because of this community. And hopefully I have another 20 plus years of working here and giving back because because I think it's important, and I love what I do here in this area. So thank you again to everyone. Again, much appreciated and unexpected. So thank you.